So rumor has it a fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilya Topuria is being finalized. Um, it apparently was accepted by Islam Makhachev's team and is waiting to be accepted by Ilya Topuria's team. And I'm at a loss for words because I'm overjoyed. I'm very happy about it. I just wasn't expecting that the UFC was going to go that route, especially with Islam talking about a move to middleweight. But after Islam beat Renato Moicano, he really said anybody could get it. He ultimately said, just make my weight class and step in the cage, line up, step in the cage, and you could get it too. So I respect that. That sounded really badass when Islam said it, and it's coming true. You know, the vision is coming true. The vision for me, right after Ilya Taporia beat Max Holloway, is coming true because I think that's the only next step for Ilya. But that's weird though, because wasn't there a talk? Oh yeah, there was talk. I just mentioned before that Bo Nickel confirmed that there was supposed to be a fight between Volk and Ilya, but maybe not. Maybe Volk has to wait. Maybe the UFC is actually ecstatic about a fight between Ilya and Islam. And let me tell you something: a fight between Ilya Taporia and Islam Makhachev is going to put so many asses in seats. It's an amazing fight, and it's going to sell out like crazy because of how unbeatable these two fighters are. Islam obviously was beaten before, but after evolving to such a level, he's like unstoppable now. Nobody can really step up and beat him. Granted, he has fought a lot of fighters coming up in weight, but still, Islam has been racking up W's like crazy, uh, especially at lightweight, the weight class he's been at the entire time. And I think it is uh, a move in weight class is due for him, at least in order to challenge for another belt at a different weight class. I think it's due. I think Islam has done enough at lightweight to deserve a title shot at a higher or lower weight. But I'm most likely sure it'll be Ilya moving up to lightweight if this fight is made. I'm just surprised because Volk was talking about Volk was really certain that he was going to be the next one to fight Ilya. He wanted it ever since he lost to Ilya in the first fight. I never wanted it. I'm sure a bunch of Volk fans don't want it, but he is dead set on it. And I thought the UFC would make it next because the UFC doesn't really like to say no to Volk. And Dana said it himself that he can't really say no to Volk because of what Volk has done for the UFC, especially with late notice fights and stuff like that. So the UFC respects Volk, and I thought out of that respect they were going to give Volk this fight. They were going to make Ilya fight Volk again, but it seems not. And I'm pretty sure the reason why the Ilya Volk fight won't happen is because the UFC probably realized the money they'd make in a fight between Ilya and Islam instead. So yeah, I'm ecstatic that rumors are circling that this fight is being finalized. If it does end up being finalized and announced at UFC 312, I will be overjoyed. I think it's talk about it being aimed for UFC 314, and it would just be incredible. It would be amazing, and like I said, the reason why it would sell so many pay-per-views and tickets, and the reason why the arena would be overflowing with fans is because of how unstoppable these two fighters are. So it's basically an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. Ilya with his uh, almost superhuman power, almost superhuman power and strength in his hands, coupled with his really nice tight boxing technique. Also, really great ground game as well. Just a really well-rounded, powerful fighter, unstoppable and undefeated in the octagon. Facing Islam Makhachev, who was stopped once, but that was very early in his career, and afterwards evolved to such a level that he's just unstoppable now. Many fighters have stepped up to challenge him. Dustin Poirier, who was, he was like, it was basically a balls to the wall Dustin in terms of like career. Like this was supposed to be his last fight, so he put everything into the fight camp. It was Dustin at his greatest. I think, in my opinion, I think it was Dustin at his greatest, and Islam stepped up to the challenge and faced it and struggled a little bit, but still was able to beat Dustin, particularly via submission. But still, Islam has had really great wins. Submitted Charles Oliveira early, knocked out Volk early. He did have a close fight with Volk before that, but still was able to knock out Volk in a second fight. Islam has done a lot in the UFC, and like I said before, he more than deserves to challenge for the belt for a belt at a different weight class. That being said, a fight with Ilya moving up would do numbers and be amazing. And if Islam were to even beat Ilya, I mean, come on, that puts Islam. It's got to put Islam top 5, top 7, top 8, top 5 all time. A lot of people will probably disagree with me on that, but once they really look at what that means, beating Ilya in this stage of his career, it means a lot. So much so that it's gonna put you up real fucking far. And Islam is already up far. He's a lightweight GOAT. You know, he's got the most lightweight title wins now of all time. So now on top of that, let's add some more shit to it. Let's add a victory over a crazy, powerful, well-rounded fighter that's been knocking out legends. But on the other hand of things, or on the other side of things, if Ilya were to beat Islam, I mean, come on. Ilya's gotta be like, I wouldn't consider it top 10 because of how early it is, but he's got to be up there all time. He's got to be up there all time. If he's able to move up to lightweight and destroy Islam Makhachev, more specifically knock Islam Makhachev out after knocking out Max Holloway and knocking out Alexander Volkanovski before knocking out Max Holloway. So back-to-back-to-back knockouts of 3 UFC bona fide legends would do wonders for Ilya's career. And Ilya's career is already booming. So imagine how much farther or higher it's going to throw Ilia Topuria if he were to come out with a knockout win against Islam Makhachev, which I think is very possible, by the way. The key to how this fight turns out is Ilya's weight. It's more specifically, scratch that. More specifically, the key to this fight is how Ilya's power will translate over to another weight class. If Ilya goes up in weight, will his power still be the same or better at this new weight class? I'm willing to bet that it will be. And even though I think Ilya's power will translate and still be very present in a higher weight class, I'm still going to go with Islam Makhachev, and I have gone with Islam Makhachev because I think this is like my 4th or 5th or even 6th video on this matchup, because like I said, I've been raving about this matchup the minute Ilya beat Max Holloway. As soon as Ilya beat Max Holloway, I immediately said, give him Islam. Send Ilia Topuria right to Islam for a lightweight title shot, because he's done at featherweight. Knocking out Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski back-to-back earns you a ticket out of featherweight, because you've done enough. You've done more than enough. So now it's time to move on, collect champ, and maybe even move on and collect champ in a third weight class. But that's something to be talked about for another video. Right now, main topic: Ilya, Islam, great fight. I'm going with Islam. I've went with Islam for every video I've made on this matchup. I'm going with Islam because of his reach, not so much because of his grappling. Islam Makhachev does have great striking. It didn't look too great against Renato Moicano, but I'm sure it'll be conditioned enough to look really great if this fight is made. And like I said, I'm not choosing Islam Makhachev because of the grappling, because I believe this fight will mostly be on the feet. I think this is going to be a back and forth on the feet. Islam is going to have to be really, really cautious with how far his chin is out and how careless he gets with defense. Ilya is going to have to find a way to get past the jab and the long-range punches and strikes of Islam, because Islam is going to have to use those long-range kicks and punches to keep Ilya at bay and piece up Ilya, you know. Grappling exchanges could be there. If they are there, I'm sure it'll be competitive and neck and neck. I don't think Islam Makhachev is going to go in there and just dominate Ilya on the ground, because Ilya started out as a grappler. So I think it'll be back and forth on the ground. I think what decides this fight is what happens on the feet. And it is very possible that Ilya can connect on Islam Makhachev more than 4 times. And all Ilya needs to do is connect more than 4 times to knock his opponents out. So it's very possible that Ilya connects on Islam 4 times, more than 4 times, and sleeps Islam. I'm going to go with the possibility of that not happening, due to the fact that Islam Makhachev has great kicks. His kicking style is really nice. I think Ilia Topuria's weakness is a really good kicker, somebody who knows how to throw kicks with really great technique and power. And Islam is very capable of doing so. He did so against Volk in their rematch. He knocked out Volk with that head kick. He could do the same shit to Ilya. I even said that, you know, if Ilya stayed at featherweight, his weakness or the person that could definitely beat him would be Yair Rodriguez, but we all know why I've stopped talking about Yair Rodriguez is because of the choices he's made and the loss against Brian Ortega and other shit like that. But if Yair was somehow able to bounce back and Ilya was still at that weight class, then I would make more videos on it. But still, I'm circling back to my main thing, which is, again, Ilya and Islam. Islam is going to win, in my opinion, because of the kicks and other long-range striking he could utilize, because Islam is a taller fighter, not by a large amount. It's only like 3 inches. Ilya's what, 5'7", Islam's 5'10", but still reach and height plays a huge part in MMA, and I think it's going to play a huge part in this fight. And I think Islam has the tools to keep Ilya at bay, while also piecing him up and maybe even setting up a nice kick to knock him out. I'm going with Islam. I'm going to go with a final round knockout for Islam in this fight, if it is made. I really, really hope it's made. Again, these are just rumors circling. Some reporter heard that the fight is being finalized, and if it is, that is great. And I'm sure if it is, it's going to be announced at UFC 312, probably right before the card or right before the main card. But still, yeah, Ilya, Islam, a great fight, a fight I've been calling for ever since Ilya knocked out Max Holloway. I'm so glad that it's actually being considered by the UFC, even though I thought they'd go the route of Volk versus Ilya too. Either way, I look forward to seeing what the overall outcome will be. And in summation, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But most importantly, subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll see y'all in the next.